Hi, Eastview. I'm Mrs. Rodman, and I am here to give you another lesson on poetry. It's really good to see you all. And before we get started with our lesson, let's start out with a poem. Let me get it up here for us. So I chose this poem because when I saw the title, it brings back a lot of memories for me because I love sitting by a campfire. I love sitting by a campfire just to read. I love sitting by the campfire and talking with my family and friends. And sometimes I just like sitting by the fire by myself when it's nice and quiet and just listening to the fire crackle. So let's read this poem together. Campfire. Warm front, cold back, I turn around. Warm back, cold front, I turn around. I lean against Mom, my head on her shoulder. Warm all over. Ooh, I can just feel it now sitting by that campfire. So, campfire was an example of free verse poetry. What is free verse poetry? Well, let's look at some of the guidelines that they give us for free verse poetry. It means it's free from any kind of limitations. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want because it doesn't have any specific guidelines that you have to follow. Poems are without rhythm and rhyme schemes. They do not follow regular rhyme scheme rules and yet still provide artistic expression. So this is how you can start thinking about how to make a free verse poem. First, just like with any type of writing that we do, you have to think about what it is you want to write about, a theme. Is it something that you like, somebody that's important to you, a hobby you have, something that's important to you? Because writers write about things that they know a lot about or things that they like. And when you're writing and you're drafting your poem, we need to use our five senses, our sight, our taste, our smell, our touch, and our feelings. And all of those senses bring our poems to life for our reader. So here's an example by Langston Hughes. Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all of your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth, away from the too rough fingers of the world. There's no guidelines with that poem. It's just words that Langston Hughes wrote down and shared with us readers. So here's another example, and I want us to look down at the bottom down here where it says Tool 10. This is going to give you a little more description about free verse poems. Free verse poems don't rhyme. So all of you that think that everything has to rhyme, it doesn't. They don't have a set number of syllables or lines either. The ideas in the poem help the poet decide how to write it. We've already seen free verse poems, the ones that we've just read together. So let's take a look up here and let's read this free verse poem. The Capitol, more than just a building. It's not the building that makes us strong. It's not the flag that promises freedom. Behind that flag, inside that building, people like me, people like you, make the Capitol. We make our country. Free verse. There's no rhyme there, but the poet is getting his thoughts and ideas out about the topic that he wanted to write about. I'm going to take you to Amy Ludwig van der Water's The Poem Farm, and I'm going to show you how you can look for different types of poems by topic. So if you're struggling to think about something that you would like to write about, maybe she can give you an idea in the poems that she's written, or you can find a poem based on the technique. So the Poem Farm, you have to click on Find a Poem. And when you click on that, a new page comes up. And the first two links here, poems by topic and poems by technique. So free verse is a technique. So I'm going to click on technique, and then I'm going to scroll down, and you can see interesting line breaks. There's a whole bunch of different poems, and I'm going to scroll down all the way down to free verse poems. Amy has written all of these poems, and she's put them on her site to share with you, to offer inspiration, to offer some thoughts and ideas on things that you can write about. And here we are, free verse. So let's just click on the first one here, turtle. Let's read it together. Ready? Turtle. I found a turtle on a creek rock and picked him up like a sandwich. Fingers on top, thumbs beneath, the way you hold binoculars. I slid my fingers slowly across his hard braille body, but I could not read the lines. Still blind to him and he to me, eyes tucked in deep, I set him back on the creek rock and biked home for dinner. That night, in waves of dreams, I was that turtle, 50 years before, swimming in muddy water, eating earthworms, sunning on shale. My own grandfather, just a boy, splashed to the creek rock, picked me up like a sandwich, and tried to read my shell. By Amy Ludwig van der Water. So you too can go back, I'll click the back arrow, and there are a whole bunch of different free verse poems that if you get stuck or you just might need a little inspiration, there's a whole bunch of poems there for you to check out. So you writers, it's your turn to write. Start by looking at your ideas and just start writing. Maybe you were inspired by something that we read today. Jot those in your writer's notebook. And just like that poem of a turtle, it was almost like a little story, a one moment in time, a small moment that she turned into a poem. Maybe you've written a small moment story that you'd like to try and turn into a poem. Play with different line breaks. And more importantly, just have fun. So I'm going to leave us today with one more poem before you get started writing. This poem is from Amy's new book, Write, 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 and it's called Timeline. I was a new writer, just learning how. I scribbled, I drew, I listened. Then wow, I sang all the letters, I matched them by sound, I used finger spaces, I moved words around. Best of all, let me tell you a secret I found. Writing a sentence is building a tower, block after block, hour by hour. I am a writer, and writing is power. And now the power is yours because you are a writer, and I am so excited to see the poems that you write. Share them with us. Can't wait.